Hello and welcome to part 5 of How to Be Human, Efficiency. Now we know the basic meaning of the word efficiency. It basically means you have the same result while expending less energy, and we can think of it with less stress, an easier way. This is the way we think about this thing, efficiency. And that can be a better way to hold a tool, or say you are trying to get somewhere and you're planning on going one way, but you do the research, it's less miles to go this other route, or somebody tells you don't go on that freeway, it will have lots of traffic at that time. You can, take this other way, and that will end up saving you gas, which is a form of energy, right? And it will save you time. It will save you some of that stress and getting sweaty. The reality is, whoever you're going to see there, you'll see after spending, so much time sweating and stressing and near-death experiences on the freeway, people speeding in front of people and stomping on brakes. Alright, that's basic efficiency. What I call false efficiency is very important. That is a bad plan that we find in advice given to us, but also in our nature. Okay, so false efficiency is an attempt at efficiency, but the end result, the quality of that is sacrificed. Okay, so you're going easier way, maybe not, and the end result is sacrificed. And the extreme example of this is someone says, "Oh, I found out a way how to lose 10 pounds," and it's like, how do you do that? "Oh, I'm gonna cut my head off." It's like that's kind of killing the whole point of losing weight if you're dead, right? So don't kill yourself to lose weight, and don't ruin your mental health for X goal. Don't, okay, so here let's get into what false efficiency is via my book. In my essay, Efficiency, in the first book, I have a picture of a leopard. Okay, and what do cats do? Wild and domestic and whatnot. They rest all the time. A lot of the day they're sleeping or laying around. And why is that? They are being efficient. They have a good program to survive, right? That is true efficiency. And that's because, say even for humans, for most of our history, think outside your house to the nearest open field. That would be your grocery store, or maybe you'd have to go out to the foot of the mountains where there's some forest and try to find something to eat, right? If you didn't have a farm, if you didn't have a market or money to trade, say you're one of the first trailblazers coming across America the first time, not when, one of the first Europeans coming across, and you're just trying to make your way. Well, there's no grocery store at all, right? For the most part, and you get the point. You have to hunt, you have to forage, or you are dead, right? There's no backup plan, really. And so inside us, just like with cats, we have to treasure the food that we got. So bringing in food is a form of energy, And finding that food takes energy. Okay? And so there's a balance there, and our body knows it dearly. And it's pushing us to not waste energy, be efficient, just like the cat. Okay? A wild cat, like a leopard, takes down an antelope, and then it lays around. It eats it, and then it lays around. It is not wasting that gift of food, right? That's how it survives. And we are similar to that, right? We have this impulse to not waste energy. And so why I call it false efficiency, right? With a cat doesn't really have extremely high goals. Most animals don't have extremely high goals that they would think of as meaningful, besides maybe the time they spend with others and their offspring and stuff like that. Okay, so why do we call it false efficiency when that impulse is driving us to rest and to think about base animal wants? It's because our goals are kind of flipped today, right? And so think of a time you were in school and you had to write a paper, and as a general human you describe it as, oh, this is boring, I don't want to do this, right? Also, inside us, there's that impulse in us screaming at us saying, what are you doing? It doesn't understand why something would be sitting and burning all this energy, right? It's a death sentence, as far as it would be through most of history and most of evolutionary history, right? It's like an animal running around in circles for no reason, burning out all its energy, and then, oh, hey, I'm hungry. Well, too bad. You probably won't find food. You are out of energy. You're starving now, right? It's not a good plan. But it is a good plan for us because our lives are flipped about 180. And you will probably find more resources by completing that college or whatever your plan is to get ahead in modern society, right? A lot of people will go to college and then get more resources through how much money they make compared to not finishing school, right? Our body does not understand that. It just feels this animal it's in control of burning energy and not taking any food in and not doing any other animal goals. Okay, so number one, while you're sitting down having to write a paper for school, you might have the impulse to get a snack. And that is related to food gathering, right? Take in some food. That's what your body knows. It's like, snap out of it. Stop wasting energy. Two, maybe you text a friend. Or maybe you want to leave. I'll work on this later. Procrastination. I will go visit X person, right? And hang out. And maybe get a bite to eat, right? These are all animalistic things. I'm not saying that we are part of some extreme movement where it's like, religions through most of history notice in a vague kind of way what I'm describing, I believe. That is, these base ways of being are related to falling deep into our base animal selves, right? A lot of them maybe were speaking to uneducated, illiterate people. They couldn't tell them a complex way of thinking about it. So they just said, you are bad. You are a sinner. You are going against God's rule for these rules, right? Today we can think of it in a more balanced way, right? It's okay to eat pleasurable food or go have fun within reason, all in moderation, right? But we need to understand that to be lured into that away from doing anything meaningful in life is to throw away what we can find pride in ourselves as a human being. Humans crave meaning, and if you're lured away from the paper you're writing in school, you can connect that to a passion project you might want to follow, or some craft you've always been wanting to learn. Like, oh, I've been wanting to learn how to draw. I wish I can't do it. Of course you can. You just have to conquer what's pulling you away, right? Oh, I need to get a snack. I need to go I should go hang out with a friend. This is boring. Oh, I need to meet the opposite sex. Oh, I want to go out tonight to some place where a bunch of people are mingling. That's fine. But if you keep giving into that over and over and over again, your life will be nothing meaningful. And chances are, if you're not gaining knowledge, if you're not developing skills, stacking your skills on top of each other through the years, your age should show your ability to be useful, but that's not often the case, right? And then on top of it, another thing that all of these things include that are pulling you away from that essay or whatever you're doing in life at that time, that you could possibly imagine. I want to be good at photography, while you're sitting in your house not doing it, right? Resting, just like the cat, just like a lot of animals, resting is important to survival in nature, right? But it's pulling you, this deep part of our nature is pulling you to lay around and rest. And that's eat a snack and kick up your feet, or text your friend, kick up your feet, and watch TV or Netflix, or go on the internet, social media, whatever. All these things are not evil, not sinful, but they are luring you away from doing something meaningful in life. And it's like, when you think of it in that serious manner, it's like, yeah, whatever. I'm not that serious of a person or whatever, but it's like, there's a better you out there who's like, someone can rely on that possible closer to the ideal you, right? Maybe there is no true ideal you, but it's like an idol. It's like a statue. It's like, oh, that's something to aim for. The ideal warrior is like Mars, the war god, or Thor, or something like the people of their times would think of as the ultimate image that they could be. Okay, so just imagine whatever it is your passion in life. Don't let this ancient program, this survival program, lure you away from it. It's like an itch in you. Like, it does not feel comfortable sometimes to work on something meaningful, right? And that can be thinking of a way to truly help people in need, right? It can be, like I said, developing skills in some way, developing knowledge, being that hub that people can go to, right? That outpouring of good personality, of humor, and balance, of not being a sarcastic ass, right? And a reminder to people that at least there are some good people out there You made my day better, on top of all the other things I'm talking about. So that is overcoming false efficiency, right? I call it false efficiency once again because it's the goal for ancient times. It is not the goal for today, but that program is still in us. You see? It's pushing us to run around like some wild, uncivilized sort of person, doing bonkers animal kind of stuff, running around, acting ravenous. If we totally gave into it, that's what the religions are really warning about. Like I think in the last episode I talked about Sodom, the book of Sodom in the Bible. It's like the extreme form of people who have no control. It's like you have to have some basis for understanding, don't do this stuff. And so it's just like people, especially who have bipolar disorder or all these related disorders, are sadly open to this, having a lack of control over their anger and other negative emotions. And other people might ruin their life over addictions, right? And not thinking and having babies with people they shouldn't, or on and on. That's giving into your animal nature. That's an extreme. And then having no interest in even slightly higher human goals. That is, some certain people, here's an example of totally falling for false efficiency. That is being a base animal who just does the job it's programmed to do at the low level of surviving, taking in resources, breeding, right? We know people like that. And it's, they have no respect for knowledge. They might say, oh, wow, that's really cool, but they have no interest. And so they remain some sort of person that doesn't even resemble a human. And that's one reason why I call it How to Be Human, is how to be truly human. And note that I say human is only a title. Human is only a title for a species because what we call a species is it can't mate with other animals. A cat cannot mate with a dog because they're different species. But all of us, mammals, all three of those creatures I just mentioned are mammals, and we have a lot of things in common, right? And we're made up of all these stacked up additions through the mutations and evolutionary changes that happened throughout the millions and billions of years of our evolutionary history and all the different animals that came before us, right? That's a lot to take in, but we need to think back that far. Don't be fooled by the programs that helped those ancient things. That is not exactly the same program that we need today. We need to feel the impulse that it's giving us and don't act immediately on it. That's what idiots do. They feel an impulse of emotion and they act on it, and they punch a hole in a wall or something, So that's, emotions are newer evolutionary changes than, you don't imagine that the basest of microorganisms has the same emotions that, a lot of mammals do. Mammals have more additions than, certain other animals like birds and whatnot. Okay, so what I want you to focus on, and the big importance of this, I think this false efficiency and the essay title efficiency, that's one of the most important findings of this whole entire series, that you could easily overlook. Imagine how people looked at the world through most of human history. And one book I find is a good example of this is an old British scholar. His name is Sir James Fraser, and he wrote a book called, it's such a long, I think I saw at a library there might have been at least 11 or 12 volumes full. And the book I read is a condensed version, and that was over 1,000 pages. I sped read it. I comprehended, as much as I could. But it's just like trying to ingest all this information. But it was all the superstitions and the basic ways of ritual and crazy thinking that people thought through, that this guy Sir James Fraser could scoop up and put in these books. So the book is The Golden Bough, and the bow of a tree. So Bough, the golden bow. It's just on and on and on. Just, I don't know how he must have had a huge team of people, and he put his name on the book, I'm guessing, because it's just long details about people from all over the world and their crazy superstitions that led them to human sacrifice everywhere on the planet, and crazy beliefs that are just ass backwards to what you would look at something now and you would not understand how someone could think like that. But it's just, they had the same software, they had the same hardware inside their, their brain was the same. They had the same thing they're working with, and it's a powerful tool. And it's just, I don't know, it's like a powerful car that someone who doesn't know how to drive just drives right off a cliff. It's like a little kid, whatever. I won't get into that. But you get the point. Like, superstition comes from people being curious and wanting a solution for something. And so the shaman or some other jackass, in general, they were super jackasses, like the solutions are just off the wall crazy. And they were just as much of a charlatan as a televangelist or something like that. The people would generally believe in them, and they'd believe in the blessing. But if a catastrophe happened and all the crops were ruined, they would murder the shaman oftentimes, because they so believed in it. They would think, oh, the shaman must have cursed us, that bastard. Okay, so I go into this side little talk about the golden bow because it's what we were. That was our outlook, right? And then, say in medieval times, maybe part of the Renaissance, and then evolved from there in the Enlightenment, we saw the world a little differently. There was a kind of hierarchy through... They believe in a hierarchy of, like, God is number one, and he's like the father of royalty and kings and other royalty he put in power. And from on and on, it goes down like a pyramid of power. And that's how they kind of conceptualized their universe and the power structure. That was the way they saw life. And so you can see how differently we see life now. Like, people may or may not believe in a god or gods today, but that's a completely different structure regardless. And okay, so what I want to introduce to our worldview, right? It doesn't clash with the general worldview of, just whatever seems to add up to sense. I want to add this idea of false efficiency because it's something we need to look out for. It's, like I said in earlier episodes, a reassessment of what we've learned so we can use it to our best advantage and do best in life. So that is, we've learned about evolution in between this old-timey thinking, right? It's changed. But our worldview has not completely gotten up to speed. So I want this reassessment, and I urge you to make this part of your life. See this part of your body, just like hunger, I think is the most identifiable. You have this feeling that I need to go get food. And I think the false efficiency and the drive to rest and all these drives to do animalistic, low-level things that made sense in the past are just in the same realm as the drive for hunger, right? It's these things that keep us alive. But these other drives don't always make sense. So we have to question them. We have to see ourselves as a compilation of parts. To be human, to call ourselves human is not enough. We are part of these ancient organisms, and we have to fight against our animal selves, just like the religions and philosophies of the past warned us about. Right? And that's pretty big, and it's not something to skip over so lightheartedly. Because, right, if we don't listen to this impulse and we follow it, we'll be some raving maniac screaming in the street somewhere. We'll maybe ruin relationships in our lives, right? And we won't follow through with becoming a better us, right? It's a great chance to be a better human, right? A cheetah is a good cheetah because it can run fast, it can do its job optimally, and right, it's not like a vulture. A cheetah, being a vulture, is a bad cheetah, eating dead animals because it's not doing what it can do best. It's best. So, to be a big fat dolphin who just gorges on the wrong food, I don't know, like we would, I'm equating it with a lazy, less than ideal human, big fat couch potato dolphin who's doing a bad job at being a dolphin, doesn't swim well, doesn't get along with others, doesn't play, is just a loser dolphin. That sucks. And it's just as lame for us to be that way. It's why I'm warning people to, to be the best human, we need to do work on gaining skills, learning things, and also getting along with people, not being a slave to our emotions, right? And not being a slave to older evolutionary things of laying around all the time, right? And I want to remind you, it's fine to rest after work, whatever. Just don't spend all your time doing it. Have a little radar in your head, have a little alarm in your head telling you, I've been doing this long enough. I need to get to practicing my whatever it is, right? Who are you? What are you best at? It's not, I'm a nice person. That's not good enough. Being a nice person, being a reminder that the world is not the worst existence ever. Like, there are good people in the world. That's great, but you can do even more, right? And so, what emanates from you? What are you a resource of? I play the violin. I can cook this. I can make the world a better place with practical, real things I can offer. And that's part of the human journey, I think, right? And, if I ask the question, if I opened with this, which I was, what do you want to what do you want to make better in the world? What do you want to improve and enrich? And asking it like that, some people just say, oh, it's not that important. Oh, wow, you're getting, this is too serious right now. I have a lot of things on my mind. But with this background of our nature and reminding us why it's important, I think it reinforces the idea of why it's important. So it's just don't be a loser. And being a good human is gaining these abilities, right? And that's part of the fun of life, is that you are somebody who maybe you're not quite an expert, maybe you're on the way, but it's like, hey, that guy's pretty cool because of this reason. This lady's really awesome. She can offer this. She can do this better than anyone I know, right? And sometimes if you take a little trip in nature, it's beautiful at first, and I know some other people feel this way. There's also a horror, and it partially comes from relying on modern society. But if you're out there too long, it's just like, simply, this is boring and dismal. Just a bunch of rocks out here, and you realize how much humans have added for the positive into life. All the passion, all the dedication, all the failure they had to overcome. That is the array of things that we enjoy every day. And I think it's really awesome to have the chance to add to that. You don't have to be a world changer necessarily. Just add to it. There's a lot of pride to be had in that. Think of all the movies you've enjoyed. How much passion went into each of those. Whole teams of people working all their lives to specialize in various crafts to come together like as a symphony to make that one film. And it goes on and on and on. Everything, all the nationalities that made specialized cuisine that we just take for granted. Oh, that's what they eat. Some masters, some real dedicated people with heart, took the time, trial and error, maybe being ridiculed by others who didn't give a crap, right? And now today, it's just like this worldwide community we have thanks to modern transportation and the internet and all these technologies. Just a reminder, that's just a reminder to don't just work and come home and rest and sleep and work and rest, come home and sleep, entertain yourself. Everything's fine in moderation, I think, right? So have goals where you create something step by step, and it's something really to look forward to. And when you look back at the end of your life, there won't be that regret. Even for that one thing you've done, like, I did something in life. That's a lot better than a big wasted life. Okay, and then it doesn't matter. A lot of people are making more and more and more money these days. It doesn't matter. You're going to look back, and the money might even make it harder for you to get back to this core need to find meaning in life and be a specialist in something. All right, maybe you're already working on it. You're like, I do every day. I'm a specialist at work, and that's awesome. It's not necessarily separate from that, but all right. So that's part of the human journey, I think. It's overcoming this. I imagine one way I imagine it is just like this hairy beast. It's almost like the devil, as people thought of it, or another kind of a devil figure throughout cultures, and it's luring you away from your spiritual path. I'm no new agey type of person, but it's a kind of spiritual journey in a way. So, I mean, it's as important as any spiritual journey could ever be. Whether souls exist or not, right? Everything a human conceptualized as one, they can also conceptualize and do all those things, the spiritual honor, related to honor and living up to your morals and doing something important in life and sacrificing for others and whatever you would put into that idea that a soul could be, the soul apart from animal nature, the base human body that people tried to separate themselves from, supposedly, in the past. That was at least the stated goal, despite the constant wars and ravaging. But everything we can imagine, I believe, that's said in a spiritual sense can be lived in our everyday lives if we have these high goals, high standards, and everything's in balance. You're not a jerk about it. You're not some know-it-all putting their nose up to people, making their coffee or something like that. You see some people who are know-it-all at a record store. People weep the decline of a record store. Yeah, I agree. But a lot of those people were dicks. They just making fun of people's musical taste all day long. And it's just whatever. You know what I'm saying? Everything in balance. And pushing to do something worthwhile in life. That's the main thing that I'm trying to push in this book. And I'm hitting it at all angles through all these 200 plus essays in these 2 books. Okay? All right, well, thank you. This has been Efficiency. Thank you for listening.